Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Ricky Moshville Times here once again. Now, tonight we are going overseas for this interview. Well, I made it sound more exciting than it really is. This is only 30 minutes in the ferry to get to Northern Ireland. But tonight we've got Belfast-based band Haint. We've got guitarist vocalist Ian, and we've got the bassist vocalist Darren. Unfortunately, drummer yet to be vocalist Mark couldn't make it tonight as he's too camera shy, but that just means that we've got free reign to take the mickey out of him anyway. So, yeah, how the devil are you guys, and how are the Siege of Limerick hangovers?
Oh, hey, Siege of Limerick was absolutely amazing. Yeah, I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah.
Brilliant show, yeah.
Just a crazy day from start to finish, and plenty of bands, but like we were on pretty late, and we were clashing with Gamma Bomb.
Right.
We were on like the main stage, so we thought that would take people away, but man, it soon filled up, and it was very, very good, very, very good show.
I was going to say, you were on the Casbah stage, and I think it was like after 10 o'clock that you guys were on, so you pretty much had to behave yourselves for the whole day before getting on stage, and then you've got half an hour before the bar closes and just get the drinks in.
Yeah. Oh, there was still drink going whenever I left the place, and that was about morning, maybe 12:30 or so. It was
yeah,
it was many a drunken person flying about still. Yeah, it was good crack.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Is that the first one that you've played, but you've been to many of them before?
It's the first one I've been, and the first one we played. So I've never been.
No, same for me. Yeah, first in both times.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be the last, and maybe you'll move up to the main stage and stuff like that, and maybe the same will happen to you when you get to Bloodstock as well. You'll be moved up a stage because you guys are making a wee bit of a noise at the moment, and there's a couple of reasons for that. But I saw you guys at Hordes up in Dundee, so that was the first taste of Haint that I got. But I must admit that we didn't get off to the best of starts, to be fair. I was talking to Drew from Catalysis, and then Ian walked over and barged in, so I was like, a bit rude. And then I saw your set, and I was like, nah, I'm going to have to talk to you guys. I mean, I think you guys were definitely one of my top three in the bands for that whole festival, and you certainly drew a very, very big crowd on the day. So how difficult was it to get to Hordes, and were you glad that you made the trip?
Getting there, logistically not that bad actually. It's probably easier than Limerick. But I mean, obviously we work with Paul, where we work with Unearth via Unearth. So, and we'd done Horde 2 years ago. Ian.
Yeah.
So we're really looking forward to getting back because we'd already done it as well. You know, we knew what to expect. So we're really keen to get back, and we were kind of asking Paul, about the opportunity to get back and play it again because we really enjoyed ourselves the last time.
Yeah, you certainly won a lot of new fans over, and you certainly won myself over. But what I especially liked, even when you were hurrying up to get your stage gear away for the next band to go on, I still approached you and you still said hi, and that's what I love about this. 99% of the time, when you approach a band member, they'll always say hi and they appreciate the support that you give. So you are forgiven, Ian, for your initial rudeness. No, but I was only kidding. But yeah, absolutely storming set. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to talk to you guys and get you in for an interview. So thanks very much for that. So one of the main reasons that you guys are making a bit of a noise at the moment is last month you released your debut EP, Terminally Evolved. So how does it feel to get the EP out there after all the blood, sweat and tears that you put into the recording? Now, I know that you've done the singles first and then you just put them out as the EP, but are you finally glad that chapter of Haint is over and you can start something new?
Yeah, I think it was a fitting end because obviously, Steve, our original drummer who drummed in the EP, he was replaced there quite recently. So it was like a new chapter for the band, like Darren and I have a kind of vision of where we want things to go, and It definitely felt like a page was turning, like a chapter was finished.
Yeah.
And we've been singing songs for a long time, all the way through, COVID and whatever else. Like, Hordes was the second ever gig we ever played, and
Wow.
um, so we've been sitting these songs for quite a while.
Yeah.
So to finally get and get the love back, and like people are obviously really appreciating and really liking it is it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
So just because you mentioned the C word, you mentioned COVID and stuff like that, were you actually sick of your instruments? Did you just like, okay, I don't want to see you at the moment, put them in the cupboard? Or was that actually quite a busy writing period for you both?
That's a great question. What was that there?
It was a bit different for both of us, wasn't it?
It's very different for both of us, yeah. Obviously I'll let you tell your side of things, Darren, but yeah, go for it.
No, go.
Just for me and Steve, our drummer at the time, it was a chance to actually get tight, and keep the momentum going as far as the songs were concerned.
Yeah.
Kind of knew what we wanted to do whenever COVID was finally over.
Yeah.
Our first ever gig was the Metal to the Masses Haint. Obviously we were then promised to get into the semi-finals whenever it finally came back. So we something to really work for, and for all of us that kind of works. Having that goal to strive for, and having that goal to to say, look, right, okay, this is our plan, this is our game plan.
Yeah.
So definitely Steve and I kept busy, and we took that first gig as a big learning curve to say, well, okay, right, what do we need to do to step it up so that when we do come back, it's at a level that we want it to be, and it paid off.
So it's fairly clear then that you and Steve were busy writing and things like that. Did Darren just take a year off?
No,
I got into production.
Okay.
So I then very much during COVID, I had dabbled in production, and a lot of the bands that I'd been in previously with self-produced records, but I'd normally contributed my part. Whereas I spent a lot of COVID learning to produce music, mix and master. So that's why the EP is completely self-produced, self-released.
Is that something that you saw yourself doing? Did you fancy going into production for a while, or did you accidentally fall into it?
No, I'd done it years ago when I was sort of like early 20s, but at that point I'd made a conscious decision to stay more in playing bass, playing rather than producing, because it can be hard to juggle the time. But with COVID, and then afterwards there were no gigs coming up, there was nothing happening, so I could spend the time learning to do it, and so I love it. I'm actually, you can't see it, but I've got a big mixing console just under the webcam here, and I really enjoy it now, and going forward, that's how it will work. But no, I mean, obviously I'm still involved in songwriting and stuff, but yes, while Ian and Steve were working together to get really tight and to get Steve tighter, because out of the three of us, obviously Steve was the last member of the band to join. Ian and me had been sitting on some of these songs for years before Steve even joined. So I took time as well then to start really digging into learning the recording process and production and everything that comes with it.
Well, it certainly sounds very good. We're actually going to talk about the sound later on. But going back to the recording of the album, how was it for you all? Was it like, did you go to a studio? Did you take a few weekends to do it? Was there a particular song that you just couldn't nail and it kept on, you had to keep on doing it over and over again? Or did you find that by the time you were actually able to record it, it was quite tight and it was quite a straightforward recording?
So we actually recorded the drums in our practice room. We had our own, well, recently we've had to vacate it, but we had our own room that we rented we were the only band basically in there. So we could leave everything set up. So we, basically turned up on a Friday night, rearranged, moved all our gear out of the way, shifted the drum kit into the right position, and mic'd it all up, and spent the weekend just recording all the drums on the track. And then the rest of it was done basically at home. Ian recorded his guitar tracks at home and sent them to me through. I recorded all the bass here where I am now. Then we went down, built ourselves a little vocal booth and tracked all the vocals down in the practice room with Ian and me. Who basically, whoever wasn't tracking the vocals was sitting on the computer, hitting record, or redo. But yeah, and there's a lot of redos, go in a minute. No, and there was songs. I think once we got the drums nailed down, everything else got a lot easier. But there was like, there's always a track that just gives you a bit of bother, and again, I still learning.
Yep.
The guys were giving me, once we got to the point of sort of demo mixes or first pass, the guys were giving me feedback. The mix really is a joint effort from everybody. I may have been the person who kind of got it to a point to begin with, but there's input from all three of us, Steve as well, just making sure that the mix was right and everybody was happy before it then got mastered and ready for release.
Yeah. It's funny the way things have worked out since COVID. I think before COVID, you would have normally, right, we need to get in the studio and we need to record this. Whereas nowadays, there's so many one-man projects where everything is recorded in his bedroom. It's absolutely frightening how good the sound can be in some of these recordings. So, you've just got to dabble, don't you? So, you've just got to adapt with the times. I mean, we wouldn't have done these online interviews before. It would always be like emails and sending you the questions and wait for a week to get them back, and they come back with one-word answers. You're like, that was a fucking open question. But anyway.
But even recording these days, because I'm in communities now with professional producers and stuff, and bands, like, they can live stream music, like, with no lag. So a band could be in America and the producer could be in Scotland, and they're tracking real time across the world. It's the technology.
It's frightening, isn't it? Absolutely frightening.
Yeah.
But how was it for you, Ian? Like, was there a particular solo that you just couldn't nail, or were you magician?
Not necessarily. Like, I would write most of the music, if not all of the music, and then we kind of get together and jam it out so that it forms the structure of the song. I think the most challenging thing for us, and something that we were very assured of, and Darren will back me up on this, was that we wanted to make sure that there was something different going on with the vocals. Those harmonies and that mix of aggressive vocals, in between vocals, harmony vocals, soloed vocals, everything. We wanted to. Darren and I have been and sang in bands before, and we kind of knew that, this is what we want to throw as much as we can vocally into this. So I think that was probably the biggest challenge for us, was making sure that was nailed to the cross.
And the good thing about doing the recordings is you can do take after take after take. You stand on that stage, you've only got one chance, and I'm watching you sing, and I'm watching you sing, Darren, and all the rest of it. So it's a bit of pressure, but was it always like the singing that you're doing for Haint, was it the same in other bands, or was your other bands with the harsher vocals than what you're currently doing?
Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, no. I've done technical death metal vocals, hardcore vocals. I used to live in Manchester and played in quite a few bands in Manchester. Now, the last band I was in was probably something similar, sort of singing and sort of harsh vocals. But I've done different bands. I've done all sorts through the years.
95 of my musical taste is death metal, so I think you should bring some technical death growls into Haint.
There's some in there.
There's one song. There's one song we haven't recorded yet, which would be in the next batch of recording. And actually, there's a little section where pretty much the vocals are pretty much almost like Def Walker style Carcass vocals. Just a couple of little lines, but it was always done as a homage to Carcass because we're all big.
Yeah. We didn't get to play that song in Dundee, unfortunately. But
yeah.
Well,
calculate the first deadline.
Maybe next time, next time. But we're going to talk about a lot of the things. See, vocalist, Darren. Well, you're a vocalist as well, but I think Ian's the main vocalist. You ask him one question, and then you look at your next 6 questions on your sheet, and he's bloody just answered them. So thanks very much for the interview, guys. I'll catch you next time. No. So, no, I love it. But we're going to talk about a couple of things that you raised there. Now, you're sick to death of answering this. For those who, and no, it's not what your band name means. It's for those that haven't heard the EP yet, how would you describe your sound? And I know you're, like I said, you're fed up answering it. But for me, I think your first song was Aries. And the fact that the drummer wore Mastodon, Ian, you wore Gojira, and Darren, you wore ginger shirts. I think that perfectly describes the Haint sound.
I would probably, yeah. We definitely were influences on our sleeve, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of us would have just needed to wear a Deftones t-shirt and probably would be pretty covered.
Yeah.
Well, maybe when you bring the grills in, you can bring a Carcass in and maybe Death as well. No, I like, see, when I had Aries, I was like, that's Mastodon. Now Mastodon are a huge influence for me, but I really did like their debut album, and that just brought me back to that era. So it's like, I'm going to watch this.
100%. Yeah, the Remission era Mastodon for me is like that. As far as Mastodon's concerned, that's probably my favorite era. Not that I'm knocking anything, but I just love that brutal simplicity of what. Not even simplistic. It's still very complicated because it's Mastodon, but that's Mastodon at their heaviest.
Absolutely.
And that was a massive influence on me, as a songwriter. So yeah, 100%. That's there. For me, there's bits of Neurosis in there as well.
Absolutely.
Bits of it would again a huge influence on me.
Through Silver and Blood. What an album! What an album!
And that's it. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's just today, funny enough.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I was just going to talk about, since we talked about Mastodon there, the drummer from Mastodon. I can't remember his name, and it's annoying me.
Grant Taylor.
That's right. Do you remember the band that he was in before Mastodon?
Aye, Today's the Day.
Well done. Well, I'm impressed, Darren. I like him.
Because who did I see? Neurosis played in Belfast years ago, and it was Neurosis, Today's the Day, and Voivod. And it was Bill and Bran. Bill was playing bass, and Bran was playing drums for Today's the Day at that gig, and it was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in my life.
Absolutely. Even Today's the Day, Steve Austin in the vocals, he's the only vocalist that I've seen where he actually swallows a microphone.
It was
unbelievable.
Ruled by the end of the set, like it was crazy. Yeah.
I just feel sorry for the next band coming on, the vocalist, slime and shit on it. So good luck with that, Ian, if you're playing with Today's the Day.
I know. Ian has his mic cover.
I have my COVID from my cover, yeah. So okay.
But yes, I gather that some of the EP is quite old. So I take it maybe like you've started writing some newer songs, and the reception that you had with your first 5 songs from the fans. Do you see yourselves changing that much and progressing, or are you always going to have like a Haint formula with subtle changes here and there? Or are you just going to arrive to the next recording with a complete open book?
It's a really good question. Like, I'm always writing.
Thank you.
And I probably have hundreds of riffs, on my phone and whatever else recorded. But it's like not sounding too like again, maybe not big-headed, but the Haint sound is just something that I know, like, and that's just me. That's that sort of stuff that I love writing. It needs to have massive riffs. It needs to have melody. It needs to have whatever. So I can't see us diverging too far into that. I think certainly if Darren and I had our way, it would definitely be maybe a wee bit more complex. Possible,
Mark.
But
Well, I mean, who else have you got to speak to? You've got Mark, and he's only the drummer, as we've already said. So, I mean, it's just between you and Darren. Just get it done.
He complains about keeping time with the stuff that we've got him learning already. So we do have, I think we do have two. Well, we have one song. We have two songs that haven't been recorded yet, which are finished.
Yeah.
We have two songs which are ongoing in terms of writing.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, new material, we're already on with new material. And like I said, one of the songs that we haven't recorded yet has actually been a stable part of our set for quite a while.
Yep.
And it was only when we were, when we were recording the EP, we were debating how many songs to put on it. You know, we talked about, said we think 5 is a good number for an EP. So that song didn't make it on, but it was just like, right, well, there we go. There's one lined up for the next session.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I found interesting. You released the 5 singles first with a time period in between, and then you released it as an EP. Now, this is a constant discussion that I have with bands in my interviews. The old school, like Dog Tire, for example, I know that you're friends with them. They album, few years, album, few years, album. Whereas the younger scene of today, they do single, couple of months, single, couple of months, single to keep their name out there. It's like a double-edged sword. You don't know which is the best approach to do. So,
and I'm very much in the. I don't think albums are dead because there's still people collecting albums, vinyl sales, you know,
absolutely
doing it. But you know, again, as you said, the current attention spans are short, and you've got to keep yourself in. So we are very much of the, you know, we would rather keep a reasonably constant stream of output. And if that's not singles, it'll be videos. So even at the moment, I'm creating visualizers for any song that doesn't already have one, and we'll start putting those out soon. So at least we're announcing something and trying to keep ourselves in the public consciousness, you know, and just make sure that people remember that we're there. Because otherwise, it'll be the next big single because someone else will come along.
Yeah. I think it very much depends on the type of band and the music that you play. You know, some people, you know, will lap up an album and keep it continuously playing. But, you know, if you're pushing boundaries to an extent, or your music's maybe a wee bit out there, you know, a single is enough for people to digest, to keep them going a couple of months and then hit them with something else, you know. And I think that's been our plan, is to kind of, we didn't release them maybe as frequently as we wanted to, but there's reasons for that. But you know, that was the goal. You know, keep people fresh, keep people wanting something else, and then maybe surprised by what comes along in the next single. You know.
Well, maybe you have done it right, because from what I'm seeing, you're certainly you're certainly getting the following that you're looking for, and you're getting good crowds at Siege of Limericks as well. Stealing some of the crowd maybe from the main headliners. So you nailed it at Bloodstock. You won your medal to the masses, so you must be doing it the right way. So, but it must be great. Darren, you've knocked me off my track a wee bit there, because you've decided to follow Ian and answer my next fucking question.
Problem too. You know, this is when we go on stage and the sound man says who's the lead vocals, we have to say neither, both vocals. This is the problem. You're talking to 2 vocalists. They'll answer all the questions for you.
Aye, but then Ian goes up to the sound guy and says, "Put mine 60 and his 40%, and I'm 60."
That's just guitar. That's just guitar. That's guitarist. Oh, you said turn it up to 8? I thought you meant 11.
Ever.
I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. I think we're about to have the first ever band split up on a live interview. I do apologise for that. But going back to what you said, Dan, about people's attention spans, that's another thing. Like, people can go onto Spotify or Bandcamp and listen to a song 6 seconds later. Doesn't do it for me. So they instantly dismiss the band for that. But at the same time, it must be especially pleasing when you can go into the analytics of Bandcamp and Spotify and find out that you've got fans in South America and Eastern Asia and stuff like that. You're able to reach people that you never thought you could ever reach.
Yeah, and we do. Like, looking at we have some people in some random places, but it's fantastic. I'm blown away by that. You know, I just think it's absolutely amazing. And certainly when I started playing very many years ago, we couldn't get that sort of reach. You know, playing a little death metal band in Belfast, that never going to happen. So phenomenal. It's just absolutely phenomenal that this is even possible these days.
Do you not miss playing death metal? That's twice you've mentioned death metal tonight. Do you not miss it?
Oh, I don't know. I'm getting too old. No, funny. Yeah. No. I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy doing it for technicality. But what we do with Haint, I love doing it, and I love the uniqueness of it. I genuinely think there's very few other bands that do everything that we do.
Yeah.
There's other bands that do similar things, but I do, it's not trying not to sound big headed. I just don't think there's anybody like exactly like Haint out there.
Yeah. Thanks very much for that, guys. Thanks very much. But just talking about, I do apologise because when I do look on your social media, there is no like background. So, did you two guys know each other, or did Ian, was this your band and Darren knew? Ian put an advert out and you replied to it, Darren, or did you know each other for years previously?
We've known each other well over 20 years now. From Ian was playing in a band called Stand Up Guy, and I was in a band called Condemned. Just on the Belfast thing, we knew each other, I think, from then. Like I said, I lived over in Manchester for about 15 years. I'd moved back with the family, and I think after about a year being back, I realised that Ian was probably only about a mile down the road from me.
Even.
And so messaged him and said, right, are you playing any bands? And he's like, no, I'm not doing anything at the moment. It's like, right, well, let's start jamming together. So he would actually come up to the house I was renting at the time, and we'd just jam out songs. And the first two songs that we kind of marked as certainly complete in terms of guitar and bass were on EP, which is Everything and Screaming. That was the very first two songs that we wrote.
Yeah. Well, what was obvious from that was Darren was thinking of Ian, but it was blatantly obvious that Ian wasn't even thinking of you, Darren. He just didn't enter his head at all. So at least you knew where you stood.
Terrible.
But did you pretty much have the songs ready, or is this like when you two met, that's when Haint started and that's when you thought of the songs, or did you have the ideas and stuff like that already?
I had a few ideas. Like Everything I Lost was the first song that we wrote together, that Darren and I wrote together musically, at least anyway.
Yeah.
And I had like a foundation of that, like the main riff, again, just for a while. But obviously at that stage, I had a wee one, and that was the reason I wasn't really in any bands, so it wasn't really going anywhere. It was an idea sitting on a phone in the memory banks waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And then the call came from Darren, and that's
knight in shining armor, Darren.
That's it. 100%.
You're the reason Haint is what it is today, Darren.
That is.
But talking about
I'd say Ian puts a massive contribution towards that. But it's good because both, like I said, we've both played in bands before we knew each other, and I'd played in very different bands, but I also knew that we had very similar musical interests. So, and as Ian had said before, like we had talked about the vocal element of it. We hadn't found Steve at that point, but we were already saying we'd both been in bands that were, harsh vocals or a lot of shouting, or had done death metal and stuff. And it's like, no, we can both sing. Well, we think we can both sing. And we both had, liked bands that did vocal melodies and soundscapes and things. So that was very much an aspiration from the start.
Yeah, cool. And talking about the constructions of songs, how are they constructed? Like, Dan, do you send Ian riffs at 4 o'clock in the morning saying you have to hear this riff, this is the best riff yet? Or is Ian the pain in the arse? Or is Mark starting to come in with ideas? What's happening?
Ian would be the main riff writer.
I'm the epitome of the pain in the arse for both of these guys. Because I'll bring in and what the fuck timing is that in? Or
I like that part. The pain in the arse and he's done this on one of the songs, is when you think a song's finished, and then he goes, I'm not happy with that. We've got to change that song. We've got a song that's going through that at the moment.
Is he the hardest one to please? Is he the one that goes in a mood or in a huff when you say to him, nah, I don't like that riff?
No. And again, I recently, there's an idea that Ian come up with, and I listened to it, and there's some feedback on the start of the song, and he's like, nope, totally agree. So no, I think we work together, and I'd like to think hopefully mutual respect.
Yeah, definitely good. I think that's the epitome of Haint, is like we've really challenged all of ourselves to not only improve musically, you know, because I say I'm a better player now than what I was, but like just in terms of our writing and our approach to vocals and all that stuff, you know, again, we've really pushed ourselves to the limits of our capabilities and beyond, you know, and that's something we want to keep going.
Yeah. When we first brought the vocals in, we couldn't do it. There's a lot of we couldn't do the vocals, and we couldn't sing and play them at the same time. There's a lot of practice to get to the point where we could do both.
Yeah. Well, since you keep on mentioning the bloody vocals, I may as well go down to that part of my question sheet. But what I particularly love in a band is more than one vocalist. So Senior Hordes, I love the fact that Dan done some of the vocal duties as well. But with you writing the songs, was that always going to be the intention, having two vocalists, or did it come quite accidentally that Dan was going to get a few lines to sing?
Yeah, it was always.
Yeah,
we always were going to do people.
Yep, always did. You know, and he's not here to.
Is there a particular reason for that? Do you see one doing the harsher vocals than the other, or cleaner vocals than the other, or is it just the way it works out live?
No. If you watch the two of us, we both split harsh and clean. Neither of us have a preference. Some melodies, I'll sing the high part, and I'll sing the low, and vice versa. We just however it's been written and which we feel. And I'll sing. I wrote the vocals for everything, but it's actually Ian who kind of leads that. All the hard stuff, it's Ian that comes in first and leads all that. Just whatever's best for the song.
Yeah. I definitely think on a live run it adds so much. Like one of the best things I've ever seen live was a band called Nile, and they got 3 vocalists and they were all doing it at the same time, and I was just like, wow. But you get you get bands like Despised Icon as well, where it's line and then it's a second vocalist with his line, then it's line by line. I like the way that you guys done it. So fair play to you. Is it very much interplay? Yeah, I take it it's definitely going to keep that formula going into the new songs, but are you going to ask Mark, so how are your vocal cords, Mark?
Mark sang for the last band he was in while drumming. He was drummer / lead vocalist. We know he can sing. He's a little bit resistant at the minute. He's told us enough that trying to learn the drums for these songs is enough of a challenge, but we've said, we know you can sing, so... And he's got quite a high range as well, so yeah, we'll be drafting him in.
Yep.
You're going to be like Dragon Force soon. You're going to be singing like dragons and friggin' knights and stuff like that soon.
Acapella. The Bee Gees, you know what I mean?
But the way that you've recorded the EP, do you think you'll continue to use that and you've got a settled formula? Or are you quite open to like finding a new studio or new experiences? Or do you think that you've got the formula that you're happy with and you'll continue to use that? Because the sound on the EP is really, really good.
Well, I think we're quite happy with self-producing.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not in, like I said earlier, we're not in the same room we're in. So we're already starting to think about... So whether or not we'll use a studio for, say, tracking drums, or I've actually been looking at just rented out halls and things. Mastering might get somebody else. We may, produce and mix it and then get somebody else to master it. To be honest, quite open.
So who mastered the EP for you? Was that yourself?
Pardon?
Did you master the EP yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, I mastered it as well. So, then like the guys. Everything got mixed and everything got bounced off. We Steve and Ian. And then when we're happy with the mix, I mastered it and let everybody hear it as well. So, but yeah, it's all done between the three of us.
I remember when I interviewed Dan Sweno, and he was saying about mastering. There's a couple of albums where he pretty much had no hair left by the end of the mastering because he just couldn't get the sound that he was looking for. So I presume that happened with you, Darren. You were that annoyed?
Yeah. Before we started recording, my hair was like down my arm.
But again, was it quite tricky to do, or were you like, do you know something, and you fed it back to the guys, and the guys were saying that sounds absolutely perfect, or was there a lot of toing and froing?
Oh no, we're all very particular. So there was some, I would say every song went through a few iterations just to make sure that everybody's happy with everything. I'd say the first song's always your template. So after that, it does get a little bit easier because once you've got the first song nailed, you've kind of got a lot of the key sounds for how the rest of it will go. But yeah, there was still, just making sure, can you just bring the snare up a little bit here? And, I don't quite know if that sounds quite right in that place. But it worked. I think I was really pleased with it when we were able to, songs were going out.
See, when you listen back to the EP then, in the singles in particular, is there anything that you would like a second opportunity to change? Or are you perfectly happy with everything?
No. You're never happy. There's a phrase that a mix is never finished, it's only surrendered. And I 100% describe that. There's some of those mixes I rip apart, but I'm happy with it. There's nothing wrong with them, fine.
So what you're saying, Ian, is that this EP could have been out a year ago. You just took that much bloody time with it, mastering it.
Possibly. There's a lot of factors into delaying it, but again, we're all dead chuffed with it. I personally think I would have changed anything.
Yeah. No, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, we've only got a few questions left, but listen, guys, thanks very much for your time. With you, Ian, being the main vocalist of the band, then do you write all the lyrics, or do all members contribute to the lyrics? And what would you say one or two of the lyrical themes are from the
EP? We share writing lyrics. So Darren would write a lot of lyrics. Our old drummer Steve would write some lyrics, and then I would contribute as well. So it's always been a collaborative thing.
Yeah.
And where we are.
Yeah. What type of vocalist are you? Are you both then? Do you read a lot of books? Do you watch a lot of documentaries, or do you always have a pad and a pen on you, like a wee notebook, and as soon as you open the door, you see something in the street and you take a note and you write about it later on, or is it just comes to you at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Personally, I'm quite an impulsive writer. I find it, for me personally, it would be quite, even though the music side of it comes quite easily, the lyric side is very, very difficult. And I would find it really difficult to put pen to paper in terms of lyrics, so it would have to be something that's very meaningful and something that is really inspiring for me to write lyrics. But a lot of the stuff is very, it's kind of, not necessarily overly close to our chest, but, very personal, based on experiences. We're all in our mid-40s, pushing 50, so we've all seen a lot over the years,
Welcome to my world.
I know, it's great. It's cracking. So, we're good at sharing the load, and that.
Yeah. What about you, Darren? What type of lyrics do you bring to Haint?
Like I said, I think I was about half of the songs on the EP, and I'd say most of them are, with only one or two exceptions, most of them are based on personal experience, but I would tend to jot down themes rather than specific lyrics.
Okay.
And then when it comes to expanding those into the lyrics of the song, I would always tend to write the lyrics after the song to make sure that the meter and rhyme fit, so rather than almost writing poetry and making the song fit the lyrics or having these, I would always come afterwards. But general themes, I usually jot a lot of stuff down. But like you said, especially with, I've done stuff in the past where you've had concepts and every song followed the pattern, but this has all been about personal experience pretty much. It's only maybe one or two exceptions. All of this was all about what me or people around us have experienced or going through.
Yeah, no, cool. But with you having two vocals in the band then, and Ian, you sing your part and you see a line or a verse or something like that you want Darren to sing, is it sometimes difficult to convey to Darren how you want him to sing it? Or you know that if you give the verse to Darren, he'll nail it in a winner?
Pretty much the latter, like it'll maybe take us a wee while to get there and both be happy, but I think we're both very, very good at pushing each other in the direction that we want it to go, you know, and comes with demo, and we both did a lot of pre-production for all the songs to give all of us an idea of in our heads what way we wanted it to sound before it kind of manifested into something else, and that seems to be the way we work, and it works.
So you do a wee recording on WhatsApp and say, Darren, this is what you're going to be singing and how I want you to sing it.
We do mixes, like it's not even
full on mixes, like here's what you're going to be singing, here's what you're going to be singing, and there's very little to or fro back and forth. Like we're usually pretty much like, all right, cool. As long as it's
where you turn it around to say, no, maybe you're better singing that bit and I'm better singing this part.
And sometimes that does happen. Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. I've done that.
Cool. But the artwork for the EP, so who done the artwork for you?
Me. I do all the artwork.
That spoiled my next question then. Because what I normally do is I say, so you've used an artist, and so what information do you give the artist? Do you give them the EP? Do you give them the lyrics? Do you just say, this is an idea that came in my head, you have free will, draw it? So what did you use, Ian, for the inspiration for the cover then?
The cover for Terminally Evolved was very, very difficult because it's not necessarily a very morbid theme, but there was so many different ways that I could have went with it.
Yeah.
And I, in terms of the singles, I wanted the cover for each single to kind of almost represent, a visual image of what the song entailed to an extent. Grab certain bits of it and sort of take your imagination wherever you wanted to. But for Terminally Evolved, I basically was like, I was a lot of back and forth and then it came to the whole the ink block thing. I kind of stumbled upon that by accident one day when I was bored sitting in the house and kind of thought, if I can't think of something, let's just have something and let people interpret whatever the hell they want out of it. I'm thankful the guys like that as well.
There you go. It just comes to at one point, doesn't it? So why the title of the EP then? Why is it called Terminally Evolved?
It's a really good question. Unfortunately, the guy who answered that is no longer in the band. But it was something that Steve came up with a while ago. And it was more so we'd based a t-shirt than an image of it, I think it was a ram's head, and Horn had come round and actually impaled it to the point, where it had, it's like self-suicide almost, you know what I mean, through its own evolution, and you kind of, I think society at the moment, I think to an extent from Steve's point of view, that is, God, are we there? Are we far from it?
Because usually it's a song title or a lyric from one of the songs, so it just stood out a wee bit, but it's a very striking title. But keeping on with the visual side of the album, I think you've only just, since you talked about this about half an hour ago, Darren, you've only released a video for Airs. So that's your plan then? Are you going to release a lyric video for each of the other singles, or do you see yourself I don't know, going up to the woods and having lights behind you and you're just going to perform the song, or is it going to be a live video, or are you just going to do the lyrics?
No, it'll be visualizers and lyric videos. So we do have stuff out for Screaming at the Storm as well. We have a video out from
Bloodstock.
Yeah, from Bloodstock. So we took the live footage from Bloodstock, and just edited that over. Did that over the single.
Yeah.
And then there's a lyric video for Screaming as well. But the rest of them, yeah, anything that doesn't have a visualizer and a lyric video will probably take the time now. With one more gig this year, and then we'll take the time to start getting all the visualizers and everything done and put out.
This might be a silly question, but are the visualizers going to be the same, or are the visualizers going to be based on each particular song?
They'll be different. They'll be different for each song. How much they're based on each song, I don't know. Just kind of starting to messing around with a few ideas at the minute. I've done one for.
It's good to keep them busy, make them contribute to the band in some way. You're doing all the writing and everything like that. Get them to do some work, for goodness sake. But yeah, so you've just played Siege of Limerick. I saw you a couple of months ago in Hordes in Dundee. But what plans do you have for Haint towards the end of the year, beginning of next year, or are you going to concentrate on writing the new songs?
We have a gig mid-November with the mighty Iron Altar.
Honestly, what a band.
Oh, yeah.
What a band Iron Altar are, and what a performance at Hordes as well, man.
Oh, very brilliant. And we've seen their singers band, Code Speaker, were playing Siege yesterday.
Their bass player.
The bass player, yeah, sorry.
Bass player who sings for Code Speaker.
And they were equally impressive, like very, very sonically just brilliant.
Yeah.
But that's the next thing, and then probably get these other songs recorded and start working on the next phase of what's going to happen for Haint. We have, again, plans. We have a goal of what that's going to look like and what we want it to be.
Going to try and get exclusive out of you. So do you see it like being another 5-song EP, or are you going to do like 4 original songs, maybe a cover? Is it going to be all new material, or did you have any kind of ideas left over from Terminally Evolved that you want to use?
Well, like you say, we got 2 songs.
Yeah.
2 songs that are pretty much finished. That'll definitely go in.
Yeah.
And we've got 2 songs that are currently in. And then, I don't know, it's kind of up to Ian if he comes up with how many of these riffs, from his bank of hundreds of riffs.
Oh, man.
Come together into another song if we could do 5 songs.
My problem is, Ricky, is that I'm so fussy, you know what I mean? So
I gathered that.
Yeah, like I'm very specific in how I want something to sound and how it's supposed to flow, and it's more like an imaginative process than anything for me, So it's if it doesn't great, it doesn't get past that, and that's usually what takes us so long. But yeah,
you're the hardest to please.
What's that?
Because you're the hardest to please.
It's pleasing myself, most.
Yeah,
like the other, like Darren and obviously Steve in the past have been good, and we need to see Mark. Haven't really, like, he's only had 2 gigs, so we'll need to see what we're like from a writing perspective. And see how things go. But we've 2 live staples ready to go. Again, at least another 2 songs on top of that are 70% there. In terms of like where they are in terms of structure. So I think it'll be a matter of, again, keeping that momentum going. Release a single, see what's going on, another EP, and see what people want, really. But at the end of the day,
you sound like a prolific songwriter, so I don't think we'll have to wait too long for your next release. Whether you'll follow the same formula again and do the 4 or 5 singles and then release the EP, who knows? That's for you guys to discuss. But at the gigs, then you've got your half-hour set and you've got your 5, 6 songs ready to play. Which one are you looking forward to playing most off the set list, and why? So, Darren, I'm going to ask you first, which is, it might be fourth on the set list, but it's the one that's your personal favourite. Why is it your personal favourite?
We've had this discussion recently about dropping songs, and I really can't pick them. But
It's got a bass solo in it.
we'll probably be boring because we'll probably pick the same song. But the last song that we play on Bound, which is the one song on our set which isn't on the EP, is just a great joy to play, and it ends the set really well, which is a real shame because you didn't get to see it because we didn't get to play it at Hordes.
Yeah,
but it's a cracker song. It is fantastic, and I love doing it. And it's got harmonies and harsh vocals and got bit of Jeff Walker vocals in there, and also so just a good song to play live, and it always goes down well.
Well, if you make it over to Scotland, make sure that you do play it live because I want to see your Death Girls in it. So, no, I just wondered if it had like your bass solo because I do. Oh, in fact, we're going to talk about your bass next, right? So hold on to that. But yes, Ian, what's your favourite song to play and why?
To an extent, probably the same song, Unbowed. It's because it's so much fun to play. Like, it's probably the heaviest song that we have.
Yeah.
And it's just a real, there's about 40, I think, how many did we count down? 47 to 50 different meters.
If you want to be, and the first time I tried to work out all of it for a click track, there was just so many time signatures changes. It was ridiculous. And it's also the only song he soloed in.
And it's the only song that I get to play an actual solo in it. Again, it's always, it's our set closer for a reason. Again, there's bits of it that are super proggy. But it's just super fun to play.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, as much as I hate fucking up the intro, it's probably Hal. Because Hal's, that Hal is, as far as like a guitarist and an accomplishment, it's a song it was so difficult to write, and it's the kind of song that I wanted to write for a long time, and it seems to be the one that people are gravitating towards the most out of all the songs we have on Spotify. It has the most plays and always seems to go down well. So yeah, Hal's definitely up there.
So you've got yourself into a wee bit of bother for a wee while to come then. You'll be playing it for a few more times yet. Good stuff. But listen, thanks very much for your time. I do have the one last question, which is probably going to start another 40-minute discussion because we're going to talk about the instruments that you use to record the EP, your setup, your amps, your pedals. Darren, I think you're the geek of the band. Even though you're the bassist, you've got probably 40 pedals on your pedal board. So what's your setup? What did you use, mate?
Well, for recording and
I mean, you've got a 5-string bass, first of all, and I've never seen you use a 5th string, so it's just there for showing off. 6? Oh, you're clearly just showing off.
The bottom string does get used occasionally.
He thinks he's Les Claypool, a Primus. That's who he thinks he is.
But for recording, I used a couple of different basses, even a fretless. Part of Hal was done on a fretless bass as well. But no, recording's boring because these days there's so much software, and you just basically plug into the computer. But live, I spent a lot of time getting that pedal board designed the way I want it to, and it does get very geeky. Ian's sick of me talking. I think at one point I was sending Ian pictures of signal paths, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to make the sound this, and I'm going to split the frequencies, and he was just like, "What are you talking about?"
It's the heaviest piece of equipment to take into a gig, Darren's pedal board. It certainly sounds like it.
Oh, his amp. His amp breaks your back.
Yeah.
So 6 strings, yeah. Had you always wanted to do that, or were you just not satisfied with 4? You wanted the sound of the 5th and the 6th string?
Well, for our tuning, the way Ian tunes his guitar lends itself more to a 5 or 6 string, a 5 string, and I do occasionally use that bottom string, the highest string. So I just like having the versatility and the options. I may not use the highest string or the highest note, the mud, but they do get used, and it's freedom for songwriting, for writing the bass lines and being able to go, well, if I want to go high, if I want to do this, I can. It's there.
Yeah.
And the top strings and thicker strings are just again for tuning purposes. But no, I love it, and it's quite light, so my bass is like
Good stuff, man. Thanks, Darren. Thanks for that. What about yourself, Ian? What's your setup? Your amps, your pedals of choice? HM2? No?
No HM2s, no. I'm a Gibson man as far as guitars are concerned. But we use a really weird tuning. Again, going back, it's Neurosis. Neurosis Mastodon tuning, yeah. So it's basically from low to high. It's what is it? A, G, C, F, A, D. And then the song Unbowed we talk about is G. So we go down as low as a low G. It's G, G, C, F, A, D. But that's all.
You need at least 2 guitars every time you play a set.
Oh, you use the one.
Like, yeah, we just tune it down. It's just it's standard D tuning. We just tune the lowest string down to either an A or a G or a C. So that's my main thing. And then for amps, I use Dietzel, which are a German-made company. Okay. Like Adam Jones is a big affiliate, and Mr. Hetfield, but from day dot, like that has been the Haint sound for me, and I can't see that changing, even in the lovely world of digital and everybody going digital these days.
There's still elements of old school in you.
I can hear the difference. Yeah, I can feel it. I think you can just feel it. You just know.
Yeah.
You can't replicate that. I don't think. I like to feel the rumble of the speaker cabinet behind me every time I play. And you just don't get that. Plus, you've got to think of those. Again, I was talking with my girlfriend earlier. You got to think about those couple of people in front of the PA as well. And they're not getting everything. So if you've no amp on stage, you're just using this digital thing. They haven't playing.
And record. And recording. We are using, although recording it's all digital, we're using a plug-in version of the same amp. What is on record, even though it is digital, is exactly the same amp with exactly the same settings. And use it live.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be too long before I see you guys live again. I can give you a punch in the nose, Ian, from being rude at Hordes initially.
I'll target harder next time.
But it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys. We'll certainly do a bit of Moshville Times to promote you guys, because you guys definitely deserve to be promoted. So whenever you've got anything new, let us know about it. We'll do a review on it. We do Moshville Radio as well. So whenever you've got an MP3 of anything, just send us a song. We'll get it on the radio as well. We'll do as much as we can for Haint, because you guys are ones to watch. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.